is Friday the 15th, January 15th. And just getting things back on track here. Had a, oh man, way too many things going on this week. Unfortunately, most of them were from away from TG. Oh man, buying cars with your kids, things like that. Landmark days around the Hogan house here. So, but we had some interesting things happen at TG. I got a bunch of stuff from the forum that I want to talk about. Bert Jansch is one of them. I think the pick thing we've kind of put to rest, right? Everybody's okay with holding the pick now and making it work, hopefully. A little bit of IGC news, a little bit of DVD news. What else is on the plate here? Where do I want to start? Let's start with the IGC plans, which is, there's nothing big here except that last week we did put up a, uh-oh, that's not going to work. Oh boy. Like, mending slower than I still thought last week. I thought this week was going to be the end of the line for it, but there's still a lot of skin missing. It's really gross. You don't want to see this. Anyway, last week a bunch of people had asked about payment plans for the IGC, so I put a post up, so the info is on the forum, and hopefully everybody that's been thinking about that has been thinking about that. It's like a 6-month plan to break it up into some manageable chunks. And also we had questions about 2 questions that I'd like people to weigh in on. Well, no, only one of them is really open for discussion, I guess. Well, but we are putting together. The question came up about bringing a spouse or a non-participating person, and that is going to be totally fine. We just have to figure out how to budget that. So more info on that, at least on the forum, probably next week. And the other question was, and this is great because this comes up every year, is I'm kind of a beginner. Is it good? Well, it'd be really easy to resurrect last year's thread on this. If I don't remember to do that, somebody else do it. Just put a new post on the one from last year. Is it for me or something like that, and that will refresh the idea because it is great for beginners, I think. So, and I think one more thing. That's it. Plans, spouses, beginners. That's it for the IGC news. I can almost do that hinge bar now. Play with 3 fingers, Neil. That's the sit. We play with C chords. Okay, never mind. Get back on track. A couple new lessons. Very again, kind of thin on lessons this week, and I want to tell you a little bit about the Ramble-On lesson because Max and we talked about this a few different degrees, and we kind of decided that to start with, Ramble-On is very complicated. There's all kinds of stuff going on in it. And which is one of the reasons I had been putting this off for years. I've had a lot of requests to get to that one, and I just couldn't find a reasonable way to. I wanted to either simplify it or do it really accurately, and really accurately is really hard. So I just kept stalling on it, and so Max put together a version that is a slightly simplified and to just get some of the basic things down, a little more campfire-y, and we will probably be adding more to that to get it up to the difficult level of getting all the little parts in there. But so anyway, keep an eye out for that. We'll probably have that up in a week or 2, or added to it. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Bert, that was a great question. Saying, why, everybody knows that you're a big Renborn fan. I keep meaning to do a lesson on Bert's. Hang on, let me again. One should think. Pre-flight check. I missed that one this time. I missed the memo. That's his. Main little thing that makes Bert's. Anyway, Bert, I really like a lot of his playing. He's a little folkier, different voice than John. And a little more nasally. Boy, his sound in Pentangle though was great, and the duets they did were fabulous. So, and luckily I got a chance to see him a couple of times. Once at a very small place that was way overcrowded in Boulder. What is that town? Brookdale. The Brookdale Lodge, place being rebuilt in the mountains. It's very close to the Quaker Center where we, had our first 2 camps. But and famous for being haunted, and for a little brook that runs right through the middle of the hotel or the restaurant, the dining room, I guess. And so they packed about 150 people into a room that comfortably would hold about 60, and no, not even that many. It was small, and so that made it kind of uncomfortable for everybody. But Bert was great. And then he played. You know, Neil Young was a big Bert fan, and so I saw him open for Neil about within the last few years. Oh, couldn't have been. Well, when was this? It was at the Oakland. Well, anyway, the audience was a little impatient with him. They didn't quite get it. Most of them had never heard of him, and which I don't know. But it was nice of Neil to let Bert play a nice little half-an-hour set before a Rockin' Neil Young show. So anyway, and unfortunately, just didn't get to know Bert the way I got to know John. I don't know how much about him personally, except that he was a little crustier than John, according to John. So, but anyway, I do mean to get to, and boy, I have a couple of his albums. Actually, I have a whole bunch of his albums, but one that I had way back in the day when I was picking up the Renborn albums was called Rosemary Lane. It's got some really cool instrumentals on it, and then some of the typical stuff. So if you haven't heard that, Lucky 13 was the one that, at least over here, that had Angie on it. But he did so much other neat stuff, and Black Waterside is probably the biggest one. Well, and Soho, ooh, and Needle of Death, a lot of great tunes in Bert's thing. But I have thought about doing a lesson on Black Waterside and Soho, both of which showed up even on one of Al Stewart's recent albums. So, okay, so yep, big fan of Bert's. And let's see. Speaking of Bert, I gotta mention that the trial of Ralph McTell was hilarious. It's amazing that they got all those guys together to do that. I didn't do any of the research that somebody else probably has or could into what brought that whole thing about, a real Monty Python type of look, and what a cast and crew of great guitar players. But I'm glad. I think Vanessa brought that up to everybody's attention. So thanks, Vanessa. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? I think I only had one more thing. Keep an eye out, as we've been talking about over the last few weeks. We've been working on putting a lot of the lessons that we have out on DVDs, and it's kind of opening up a new angles of things. You know, we're trying to reach a new audience, and so we may be having some questionnaires or surveys coming your way through the forum and some other things to help us figure out the best way to spread the word. And so I guess I don't need to say too much about that, except that we should have something on the forum about it soon. Okay, let me see. What could I possibly play today that is not going to... I can't even think of anything. There it is. You need that hinge bar and everything. So let's not do that. How about this? Learn this. Okay, I think I'm gonna take the rest of the day off, at least off of guitar playing, but this is driving me nuts. I'm sure, Scott, I know where you're coming from, man, with your shoulder injuries and other things like that, and finger injuries. Try this again, see if I can get it. today's themes revolved around this chord. I'm sure everybody knows what that is. Another song I can't play. What am I thinking? Must be... Oh, lucky. I gotta go look that one up. That'd be a great tune to do. Maybe I should stick with Bossa Novas I know. Okay, I think that is it, and I hope next week we are really back to our regular scheduled stuff, because I gotta get over this thing. Alright, hope everybody's settling down. We are expecting a lot of rain here in Northern California, but we got a little sunny spot right now, so that's kind of cool. But this storms back to back are feeling great. Okay, I will see you next week.